ask the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Allen, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, witnesses, for enduring this. As you can see, there's a very, very difference of opinion. I will tell you, Mr. McDonald, Ms. Kennedy, I'm not going to warn you of the risk of running your business. I'm a small business person, and I for years, and it's a construction business, and I pretty well understood the risk, and I'm not going to try to tell you how to run your business. I think that's the great thing about this country is you decide what's best for you and your employees, and we need to keep it that way, in my opinion. As far as this law is concerned, obviously we have two lawyers who can't agree here today. So ain't America a great place to live? We're all trying to figure out what is best for the people and the citizens, the great citizens of this country. But it is pretty dynamic right now, this economy, and the innovation is very dynamic. And frankly, the 5-year business plans are a thing of the past. 1-year business plan, maybe 6 months, I don't know, maybe 30 days is what we have to deal with in the business world, because your competition is getting, it's just difficult out there. And but that's good. That's good for the customers. And we haven't talked much about customers here today, but that's who we work for. But going back to these models and what we're trying to clean up here, as far as trying to make at least the lawyers understand. Again, we've got the lawyers disagreeing on, well, there's going to be more litigation after this law versus, well, we've got to have this to decrease litigation. Mr. McDonald, as far as your relationship with your subcontractors, and also Texas is a right-to-work state.
That's correct.
Yeah. In fact, going back, Mr. Dutchman, as far as, you got states in this country that are right-to-work states, and you got states that are not right-to-work. This Browning Ferris thing, obviously this was in California. Georgia's a right-to-work state. Texas is a right-to-work state. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think it's a different, so is Michigan, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think I think the real question in any of these situations is who the employer is. And I don't think that that's necessarily directly related to the right-to-work issue at all. But I would like to, Congressman, I would like to utter some words that haven't been said during this hearing, because everybody's talked about there's never been a franchisor who's been found to be a joint employer. There's been 145 days of hearing in the McDonald's litigation on just that point. General Counsel Griffin is using the Browning-Ferris decision to prosecute McDonald's and all of its franchisees across the country. There is an air of unreality here in the questions that have been asked. I mean, to say there hasn't been a franchisor who has ever been found to be a joint employer, I mean, tell that to McDonald's, who's spent the last 145 days and continuing in hearings on this point. I find it unbelievable that nobody's mentioned that. I just did.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to get to that as well. As far as the right-to-work situation, Mr. McDonald, I know, one of the questions is whether you're working union or open shop, and at least in a right-to-work state, you can have two gates, and you can work both union and open shop subcontractors. Do you have any subcontractors who work under that scenario?
Yes, sir, we certainly do.
You do?
The people who provide our elevator services, ThysenKrupp are union, and even their maintenance personnel are as well, and we work hand in hand with them.
Right. So we don't have any issues there. These were some concerns that were brought up about, and I know and I'm not sure in a state that's not right to work state, you don't have that option. Is that correct?
I think that that's correct. I think that you don't have that option.
Okay.
And it's a state-by-state situation, and you bring up a wonderful point that a lot of state law is going to be trampled as we try to unravel all the litigation around this that's pending, that's working quite well, and it's working well in Texas.
Well, obviously, you know, we're here to try to dismantle regulatory involvement in the process. We think that's the most innovative, productive way for this country to grow and to get people to work. Thank you for your testimony.
Gentleman yields back.